Grab your field journals because today, in this explainer, we're doing something a little different. We're stepping into the boots of an archaeologist. We're diving deep, I mean really deep, into the archives to uncover one of the most fascinating and honestly, largely forgotten architectural mysteries of West Africa. We're talking about the stepped pyramids of southeastern Nigeria. We're going to examine this site exactly like an early 20th century explorer would, piecing together the clues left behind in the dirt and the historical records. Trust me, the sheer scale of what they built and exactly why they built it is absolutely mind-blowing. Let's get into it.
So, picture this. Our journey actually begins in a dusty archive with a collection of black and white photographs from back in the 1930s. A colonial administrator and anthropologist named G.I. Jones snapped these photos, and they revealed something completely unexpected hidden out in the landscape. Massive, stepped earthen structures built by the Igbo people. Just imagine being an archaeologist and seeing these photos for the very first time. You see these towering, pyramid-like shrines rising out of the African terrain where you'd literally never expect them. It immediately makes you ask, what on earth are we looking at here?
Well, to really piece this puzzle together, we have to look at how a few different timelines converge. In the early 1900s, a local mystic demands these monuments. Then in 1912, ethnographer George Basden documents the Igbo community. Finally, in the 1930s, G.I. Jones photographs the site and Kenneth Murray publishes the physical survey. Merging that physical dirt with the human records, that is where the real archaeological magic happens.
Right. Let's set our coordinates for the expedition. Our focus is Nsude. It's a village located in modern-day Enugu State in southeastern Nigeria, and it serves as the absolute cultural and spiritual epicenter for these structures.
Okay, moving straight into our first major area of analysis, field reports and dimensions.
To truly grasp what the Igbo people pulled off here, we have to look at the hard physical evidence from Kenneth Murray's survey in the Nigerian Field Journal. When Murray surveyed the brush, he didn't just find a few random mounds of dirt. No way. He documented 10 solid mud pyramids, and they were massive. We're talking circular structures spanning a whopping 27 feet across and towering 18 to 19 feet into the sky. And they weren't just scattered willy-nilly. They were meticulously organized into 2 straight rows, spaced exactly 12 feet apart. The precision is just staggering.
So how exactly did they build these? Well, it was all about a stepped terrace technique. Step 1, they laid down a massive earthen base ring, about 60 feet around and 3 feet high. Step 2, they simply layered a slightly smaller circular stack right on top of that, about 45 feet around. Step 3, they just kept ascending with these circular stacks all the way up. It's almost like a giant earthen layer cake reaching nearly 20 feet into the sky.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Murray noted in his field reports that these towering pyramids were constructed over a mile away from the populated village of Nsude. They were built way out on open ground, purposefully hidden from daily view. I mean, why build something so incredibly monumental, only to hide it? That deliberate isolation points us directly toward the sacred.
Which brings us to the next crucial phase of our dig, the excavation of meaning.
You see, architecture without context is basically just geometry. We need to uncover the why. Why were these monumental structures commissioned in the first place? Well, ethnographer George Basden noted the role of a local Igbo mystic known as a Dibla. According to the records, a local Dibla received a divine, spiritual message demanding that these structures be built as a monumental sign of a powerful local god's greatness.
And who was this god? Murray's interviews with the locals reveal that the pyramids were built to honor Uto, the protective spirit of Nsude village. And get this quote, Uto was said to possess the special merit of killing thieves. Talk about a serious neighborhood watch. These monuments were quite literally an awe-inspiring physical manifestation of divine protection. Now, it's absolutely crucial to understand that these weren't just static monuments to look at. They were highly active sacred platforms. The stepped terraces served a vital, practical function. This is where the community conducted religious rituals, made offerings and sacrifices, and held vibrant ceremonies centered around agricultural and ancestral veneration. Essentially, they were the spiritual battery of the village.
And that leads us to a really fascinating sociological detail. 10 families, 10 pyramids.
As we sift through the data, a very specific pattern emerges. Murray found exactly 10 pyramids, not 9, not 11, 10. And in archaeology, repeating numbers usually hold the key to social structures.
Basden's notes literally crack the code on this one. The village of Nsude was divided into exactly 10 distinct quarters, representing 10 extended families. So when Uto demanded tribute, the mandate was perfectly democratic. Each of those 10 families was strictly required to erect their own nkapuru, or pyramid. The entire site is basically a physical map of the community's social structure, rendered entirely in clay.
Finally, let's step back and look at our last section: earth, clay, and time.
You see, the builders faced a pretty major engineering hurdle. These were built entirely using local earth and clay, but the primary local soil, laterite, was just too hard and completely unsuitable for crafting those precise step terraces. So they made a practical decision to use softer nearby earth and clay. It allowed them to build high, but it unfortunately sealed the monument's eventual fate.
Because time, as you know, is incredibly unforgiving to unfired earth. In the 1930s, G.I. Jones was photographing towering 19-foot monuments. But because they were left exposed to decades of harsh, rainy West African weather, they inevitably degraded. If you go to the site today, you won't find those towering steps. You'll only find heavily eroded mounds. The earth simply reclaimed them.
It's honestly the ultimate lesson in archaeology, and it leaves us with a pretty provocative final thought. The Nsude Pyramids were this massive, coordinated effort representing faith, family, and divine protection, yet they eventually dissolved right back into the very dirt they came from. As we see these grand cultural symbols fade into remnants, it begs the question, what physical legacies is our modern society leaving behind? When the archaeologists of tomorrow sift through our soil, what exactly will they find? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep digging, and I'll see you next time.